Hey everybody, it's Patrick. It is Friday midday. I'm about to go off to lunch. I'm on my lunch break. I'm working from home. And I realized that I had done a couple of videos while I was at the Fringe, but I had done this series of vlogs about my Fringe experience all the way from when I got accepted until I pretty much left for the Fringe, but I haven't done a wrap up, so I thought that I would do that today. These videos don't get a whole lot of views, but I think it's a good record for myself, if nothing else. And for the people who have followed me along, I might as well just kind of bring the whole thing full circle. So I've been asked many, many, many times since I got back from friends and family and coworkers how it all went. And that's actually a really difficult question to answer. I'm still processing what happened with the Fringe, Fringe NYC. Ultimately, I am very glad that I did it. It is something that is, it's very prestigious. It is something that gets a lot of attention. It's definitely something that I want to, or I'm happy to have on my resume, that I was accepted, that I produced at the Fringe. The show itself went so beautifully. I'm so happy with the way that it went. The actors were amazing. Some of them are veterans on stage, especially Karen Lynn Gorney, who has been in the public eye since, 60s or 70s. She was on All My Children, and then was the lead actress in Saturday Night Fever, and she was in my play, and she was the most lovely person, brought incredible things to the character. Some of them are younger people who are definitely going to be up-and-coming stars on the New York stage or on screen or whatever they want to do. So, you know, Brandon Jones and Sophie Walker and Bradley Levine, Adiaga Feza, who she had not the largest part in the show, but I think she made such an impact. I just wish that I had something that I could work with her again, and maybe I will. Maybe I'll bring some, ask her if she'll work with me again at some time, because I thought she was amazing. Karen Neville Brown, who was on stage almost the entire time, was exactly who I thought was the actress I had in my mind when I originally wrote it. Was exactly the right type of person. Richard Binder, who had a very enigmatic role in the play, he came back. He actually was part of the staged readings of my play way back in like 2009 or so, when we were trying to do something with it again after it had been kind of off the radar for a bit. And we actually had a young actress who came on board. I hadn't written the show with a child actor in mind. I had all of the adults playing themselves as children, but our director, Ashley Marinaccio, asked if we could bring in a child actor, and we did, and she just brought such an incredible presence to the whole thing. It really brought the story to life, and her name is Emma Kotkin, and her mom, Laura Kotkin, helped me tremendously with getting publicity, with bringing so many of her friends and family to come see the show. It was great. In terms of, and the crew, amazing, amazing. I mentioned Ashley, her assistant director Spencer, our stage manager and assistant stage manager Will and Kate, and Mitch, who did the backdrop and the scenic design, and Jeff, who did the sound design and some video production for it. And it's just incredible. I'm forgetting someone too. I know I'm going to regret I forgot mentioning someone, but it was just an incredible cast, crew. The show was great. The audiences loved it. The people who came to see it absolutely loved it. It was, we sold out on opening night, and we sold out on closing night, and we had a venue that was originally 88 seats, and then they took 8 seats away, which is a bit confusing, but we sold 88 seats the opening night, and we sold 80 seats the closing night, so sold out both of those nights. So all of that was great. Artistically, I am more than happy with the way it came out. in terms of the experience of being in the Fringe, I made a ton of really great friends. I saw a bunch of theater while I was there. I met some incredible artists who were doing some wonderful work. That was definitely worth it. The things that I probably would hesitate to go back to the Fringe NYC again. There were a number of negatives. First of all, it's an incredibly expensive uh, production. We raised $10,000 through Indiegogo. I don't have a complete final account yet, but I'm going to say we probably spent about $12,000. I spent at least $2,000, maybe $3,000 of my own money on this production, and that is partly because I wanted to make sure that everybody who was associated with the show got paid, but also because producing in New York is very expensive, especially if you are just left to do everything yourselves. The only thing that Fringe NYC really covers is the venue, which is, of course, very expensive. We couldn't have done a 5-show run at the price that we paid Fringe NYC, but we had a large cast, and we had a lot of technical elements, so it was very expensive, and I'm not going to make that money back. It is, I believe, unless you have an incredibly inexpensive production, I believe that it's impossible to make your money back at Fringe NYC. There's just not enough seats. They don't give you enough. The ticket sales aren't high enough, partly because of codes like the Actors Equity Code. You can only charge so much for a ticket for an equity showcase. And if you have an 80-seat theater, just doing the math, 5 nights, 80 seats, that's 400 seats that you can sell, and if you get $10 a ticket, that's $4,000 if you've sold out every single night, if they're not discounted tickets, if they're not comp tickets. So when you go through all of that, it's a lot of money that you're not ever going to get back, but that's not really what you do this for. I also felt like it was an enormous festival. There were 186 shows, I think, and I don't know that there are enough audience members to go around. I've seen festivals where the entire city really embraces the whole festival, and it's going on all the time. And New York is just too big, and New York Fringe is just too huge. There are too many productions all vying for the same small bit of attention, and that also leads to publicity. They do have a publicist. Fringe NYC does have a publicist. I think that that publicist pays attention to a very specific type of show. Some of their clients had shows in the Fringe, and they got a lot of attention, which is probably appropriate. But I was a bit surprised about that. Yeah, I shouldn't be. If your client is in a festival that you are also responsible for doing publicity for, then of course they're going to show up on every list of the shows to watch, I would think. But it was difficult. It was difficult to see, so many of the same shows getting the same press over and over again before the shows even launched, which I thought was, how can it be one of the shows that you absolutely have to see if nobody's actually seen that show before? But again, my play was not really a Fringe type of show. It's not out there. It wasn't easily described in 2 seconds. It wasn't based on something other people knew. There were a lot of plays that were one based on the podcast Serial, one based on the TV show Dexter, a lot based on Shakespeare, a lot based on other plays, on books, on famous people. So all of that is really easy to say. It's like, what is this? It is hip hop Hamlet, which was one of them, was a hip hop version of Hamlet. There was something about Divine, the drag queen Divine, who is incredibly well known, especially now that John Waters has done so many movies. So like the musicals based on his more cult movies of the 70s. So all of that is much easier to promote, in a single sentence. It's a play about my play. It's more of a complex drama. Some of the reviewers thought that it was a little too complex. One reviewer called it a soap opera. which probably it is. It would actually fit in really well as a soap opera. But the amount of attention you get is, is the amount of attention you can get for yourselves. And I found that a lot of other folks who were involved with plays that weren't the sort of top tier, I don't want to say chosen ones, but kind of chosen ones, felt the same way. And that was a big frustration for all of us. But I don't want to leave with the idea that I'm ungrateful for the Fringe. I think that it is an opportunity. Peter and I, my partner and I, have been through it twice now, once with his play, once with my own. We had pretty much the exact same experience both times. We thought that we had learned quite a bit the first time, but it turns out that you have to learn some lessons more than once. And we have now learned it enough times to know that we should probably concentrate on doing local theater for ourselves if we're going to produce, that we can really rein in the cost. We can really call on our family and friends to come see. We can really understand the publicity and just have a better time at it. But I am so glad I did it, even if it's an experience that I don't want necessarily to repeat. I think that not all experiences have to be entirely positive to be helpful and to be worthwhile. So that is my recap of Fringe NYC. Like I said, I think artistically I couldn't have been happier with what happened. I think that the play is really amazing. What happens with it after that, I don't know. But I do know that I wrote a one-act and a short 10-minute piece since I got back less than a week ago. So I'm very happy about that too. It really did spark some creativity. I'm glad I met some amazing new friends. I just think that they're fantastic, and I'm going to try to work with them in some capacity really soon. If they will allow me to. And, just seeing all the, being in New York for a whole 12 days, that was fantastic too. I'm rambling. The negatives, I've outlined them, but, everything comes with negatives. So, I'm not going to regret this experience at all. And that wraps up me blathering about the Fringe. Going forward, I'll be doing more stuff on my channel that may still vlog a little bit, but I definitely do the hair stuff every Tuesday. George shows up every once in a while. George is getting some traction. If you want to, you can follow George on Twitter. He actually gives out advice to folks on Twitter about being good to self. And there'll be some other stuff that's coming up as well. It's really sparked me to do some stuff creatively with YouTube. So on that, let's see if we can close this before 13 minutes. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.